Okay. First, we will look at the definition of educational technology that I have here. And a lot of people think that educational technology is just something you plug in, but it doesn't have to be. The use of resources for the purpose of improving learning with an emphasis on design, management, and implementation of learning tools for instruction. So, with that definition, the first question is, what do you think about when you hear the word or the term educational technology?
See, my first thought on that is, okay, what can I do to get that incorporated in my classroom? Because the kids are so much more technology oriented that it makes teaching more easier because they are more engaged with the technology. So to me, that looks at as, I hear educational technology, I'm like, okay, how can I get that implemented somehow in my classroom?
What do you, and this is sort of attached to that question, like what kind of, I guess, devices too would you think of when you say educational technology?
See, in my room I have the one-to-one devices, so we use Chromebooks in my classroom. In addition to, I also have old school, but they're still listening stations and stuff, but now instead of listening to it on the recorder, they're listening to it on an iPad. We use, what else did we use this year? A lot of times we use the clickers to do the games and stuff, but we do like that. Like, we also have the assistive technology where it's the phonic ear, so it's louder for them. Mm-hmm. I have a smart TV for them to use in a station, so just those kind of things.
Okay. What do you find technology tools easy or difficult to grasp, you personally?
I think they're easy to grasp, but it's just because I'll take the time to sit there and play with them because it'll bother me until I can figure it out.
Okay. Excuse me. Do your students prefer a lesson with technology or without technology?
I would say most of my students prefer the technology, except for I have 2 EBD students who find it very difficult to do a lesson online. They have, we did a PowerPoint for West Virginia, and for him to bring information in and back and forth is very difficult for him. But for the most part, most of my class prefer the technology.
I would find difficulty, to be honest. I find myself a techie. I would find myself having a difficult time reading a textbook.
Now that and
like on a Kindle or iPad or something. And
that's the one thing I didn't use mine for. When it came down to reading a story or using our book, we used our book. Yeah. Because it's just, I think it's so, it's a little old school too. I love the feel of a textbook in my hand. But I just think it's easier for the kids to look and find. Plus, if they have to go back and answer questions and stuff, it's easier for them to flip the pages, which is why I think the state test is very difficult for them.
And a lot of the times when I buy a book I really want to read, I'll also buy the ebook, or not the ebook, the audio book.
Yeah, you can listen to it.
And I'll listen to it and read it at the same time. It's sort of like
it's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is.
I won't tell you that mine is Jersey Shore then.
Oh, no. Okay. Do you feel adequately prepared to integrate technology into your lessons? You as a professional, a teacher, a instructional designer.
I feel like I could definitely use some more lessons in that, more preparation in it. When they handed us our Chromebook, we did a couple trainings on them. I spent a lot of time playing with it, but I would rather have more training. Mm-hmm. But I would also, as I'm visual, I want to see how other people incorporate it into it. So once somebody shows me visually, or I could play with it, I'm better off that way. But I would definitely say I could use some more training into that.
And we'll talk about, here in a little bit, we'll talk more about professional development. Mm-hmm. So that might be, you'll expand on that, I know you will.
Yeah.
Now, this might be more so, depending on the age of the student or whatever else. Like, a 12th grader will be more technologically advanced than a first grader or a kindergartner or something like that. But do you find your students' technical abilities intimidating? And I'm going to kind of add to that. Do you fear failure in front of them?
My biggest fear with them is, especially with the one-to-one devices this year, when you send them off to do Chrome, like a Prodigy or a math game, and you give them a directive, that they will open another tab. And that's when, and I miss it. So that's where I'm intimidated, and that's where my fear comes in. Like, what are you doing? Am I missing something? Because it is hard to monitor all those kids at once to see what they're doing. And I have some feisty ones who would definitely go off kilter. But that's where my biggest fear comes in. But because I do have fourth graders, I still am pretty on level with their technology skills. Except for I know nothing about Minecraft.
They for sure would teach us Minecraft. I've even played with it, and I could see, like, I could get into it if I had time. Yeah. But I don't have time right now. Now this next question is going to be about your building principal and or it could be anybody really in the central office, a director, anybody in a leadership role. Does your building principal and or district leadership regularly keep you updated on educational technology?
I have to say no. I know that my building principal doesn't. The district leadership gives us a little bit of information on different things that they could do, not like places we can go to learn something or whatnot. But types of technology and updates and different things, I would say no, not at the moment.
Okay. And I'm sure they, like, other than, like, outside of professional development, they might give you some things in professional development, but like I said, we'll talk about that here in a minute. When you're teaching and something goes wrong with your technology, like let's say your smart TV goes down, are you supported with someone to fix it or a solution to fix it in a timely manner?
Good question. We are supported. We do have that school messenger. I also am one of those brave people who I just call Jay Fluorty because I'm not afraid of him. I do have some ways to, like, I figured out some ways to fix the technology in my room. If the wireless goes down, I could just hardwire my computer so that I could still run my smart board and stuff, and the kids can function via textbook and that kind of stuff. So I do know how to fix it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than I like, but I will say for the most part, they were very timely this year. I didn't have very many problems.
Well, good. Do you feel you have enough access to enough educational technology resources?
I do. I mean, I think I'm pretty well lucky. I mean, I have a smart board. My projector went out. I had a new one immediately. We have one-to-one devices. My printer and everything's always updated. So I do. I think so, yeah. I don't have any wants or needs at the moment.
Well, good. And the one-to-one does help.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, we've even found, in this school, even just testing is just so easy.
Oh, that was so much nicer.
So easy. Like, we got it done in a week rather than a month.
Yeah, I mean, it was like...
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to next year when everybody...
I know, I'll be real curious to see how that works.
Do you feel the district does an adequate job in meeting your needs with the professional development that is offered? And of course, this is related to educational technology. Can you explain, or would you elaborate on your yes or no?
I would say no. I would say, they did offer Google Classroom training last year, but I wish it would have been done with a Google Classroom expert who had already incorporated it into their classroom so that we could see it. Also, we get, new textbooks and stuff, and they always come with some kind of technology. So, when they brought in the reading series, I didn't feel like that was an adequate training, and I will definitely say our Admentum training that we did this year was not adequate training. So I say no. I say we're definitely lacking in the type of professional development, and we definitely could do some more.
How do you think it would be better?
I think that if they give you the time ahead of time and they give you the preparation ahead of time. Plus, I would like an expert instead of somebody who just happens to work for the county who knows how to use it because it's free. I mean, if you're going to spend money on the technology and you want me to use it accordingly, I'd rather you train me accordingly as well.
And would you think you would benefit? Like, let's use the Google Classroom example. Do you feel you would benefit from a second session? Third session, a continuation of sessions rather than just a 3-hour, this is it, and then you go on your way.
Yeah, and I also like the collaboration when you're done with it. Like, well, what did you do? Use it in your classroom. So once you've done the time with the experts, then the collaboration amongst the county people so that you can say, hey, this is what I did. I use this in my classroom and get some ideas for that. So you can use your expert, and then after your expert, then you use your free resources with each other.
Okay.